In the year 2000, Mel Gibson starred in a film called What Women Want. His character, Nick Marshall, was the kind of guy who thought he understood women because he'd once skimmed a self help book while he was at the airport. He wore too much aftershave, smiled a bit too broadly, and assumed that every woman within a 5 mile radius found him irresistible. Then, a freak household accident involving a hairdryer, a bathtub, and some questionable decision making gives him an extraordinary gift. Suddenly, Nick can hear women's thoughts, all of them, all the time. And it turns out they think he's a sleazebag, a fraud, a walking cliche in a designer suit. It's a painful but ultimately redemptive experience. Nick learns empathy, self awareness, and the radical concept that listening might just be more powerful than talking. Now imagine that same miracle happening not to a smarmy ad executive, but to a construction equipment designer. Meet Graham. Graham is 46, head of product design at one of the world's leading construction equipment manufacturers. He's got a master's degree in industrial design, a corner office, and a wardrobe full of polo shirts embroidered with the company logo. His desk is a temple of technology, curved monitors, CAD software, 3D printer, VR headset, the works. He's the man behind some of the most advanced machines on the market. At least that's what it says in the brochures. He spends his day perfecting touchscreens and tweaking joystick haptic sensitivity. He prides himself on innovation, on progress, on the future. Until one Tuesday morning, while rushing between a Teams meeting and his third coffee of the day, Graham leans across his desk, catches his arm on a loose cable, and gives himself a minor electric shock. Nothing serious, just a jolt, but somehow it's enough to rewire something in his brain. Because suddenly, Graham can hear them. Not his colleagues, not the sales team, not even the engineers down in R&D. He can hear operators, all of them, all the time. The first voice comes from a test site in the Midlands. Bloody hell, it's like climbing Everest to get into this cab, someone mutters. I'm getting shin splints before I've even started work. Then another comes from a quarry in Norway. This machine has less legroom than a Ryanair plane. And then a chorus, hundreds of operators all talking at once, complaining, cursing, laughing, improvising fixes with duct tape and cable ties. It's chaos. Graham spins in his chair, clutching his head. What the hell? He glances at his prototype on the screen. Sleek, modern, elegant, a work of art, if he says so himself. But the voices keep coming. Would it really kill them to put a flat spot in here? Somewhere to put my lunchbox? Every time this screen updates, it beeps at me. I swear I'm being taunted by my own dashboard. I don't need Wi-Fi in my cat. I just need somewhere to hang my jacket. Graham stares horrified. Surely these operators just don't understand. Surely they appreciate the technology. But the voices don't stop. At first, Graham argues silently. They just don't get it. He thinks they're Luddites, resisting innovation. That's what people always do. But as the hours pass, curiosity replaces defensiveness, and he starts to listen. And slowly, painfully, it dawns on him. They're not wrong, but maybe he is. Every comment, every grumble, every sarcastic aside paints a picture he's never truly seen before. The daily reality of people who actually use the machines that he designs. The visibility issues that no camera quite fixes. The awkward climbs that leave knees and hips aching. The endless alerts that distract from the job at hand. The contortions required just to grease a fitting or to check the oil. For the first time in his career, Graham isn't seeing an operator as a user profile or a target demographic. He's seeing them as a person who just wants to get through a day's work without feeling like they're piloting a spaceship. The voices are surprisingly united. Despite coming from every corner of the globe, they all seem to want the same things: simplicity, durability, comfort, and the ability to do their job without feeling like they need an IT qualification. One voice cuts through the noise. I don't want more features. I want fewer that actually work. Another follows. If I wanted to scroll through menus, I'd go back to Facebook, then a quieter one, almost weary. They design these things like they'll be driven by robots, but there's a human being in here. Graham winces. He remembers the design meetings, the PowerPoint presentations, the long discussions about user experience and the digital interface. He remembers nodding sagely as someone explained how operators would love the new connectivity ecosystem. They don't love it, they ignore it, they fight it. In many cases, they hate it. One operator comment really resonates. I want a machine to work with me, not to snitch on me. What they do love are simple things, steps that haven't been designed for a mountain goat, seats that don't leave their arse numb, maintenance points that can be reached even if you're not a 7 foot tall contortionist, engines you can access without dismantling half the machine, and storage, endless pleas for storage space. By lunchtime, Graham feels like he's been through a personal crisis. The designs that once made him so proud now look like vanity projects, exercises in over engineering. Every feature he thought was clever now seems like a nuisance. Every ergonomic curve feels pretentious. Even his beloved touchscreen interface suddenly looks like a hindrance, an electronic inconvenience to be endured. He tries to focus on his work, but the voices keep interrupting. He leans back, defeated. For the first time, he sees it. He's been designing machines to impress other designers, not operators. He's been speaking the language of innovation, but ignoring the dialect of practicality. That afternoon, Graham takes a walk through the prototype workshop. He climbs into one of his own creations, a next generation wheeled excavator, and he sits there listening. The seat is firm, but not quite right. The joystick placement feels just a bit too far away. The control panel lights up like a Christmas tree before he even presses anything. The dashboard screen greets him cheerfully. Good afternoon, Graham. Would you like to connect your phone? He sighs. No, I just like to start the engine. After several button presses, a menu selection, and what feels suspiciously like a software update, the machine finally coughs into life. He shakes his head. I've designed a masterpiece of inconvenience. He looks around the cab, visibility limited by pillars that looked good in CAD but bloody terrible in daylight. Barely enough room for his legs, and he's not a big guy. No space for a lunchbox, nowhere to set down a cup of coffee. And for the first time, Graham understands that he's been designing from the outside in, thinking about what the machine looks like, not how it lives, breathes, and functions. That night, Graham sits in his car, engine off, staring at the steering wheel. The voices are quieter now, but not gone. He starts to jot notes in a small notebook. Operators want, he writes, and he pauses. How do you summarize it? Not in technical language, not in marketing spin, just honestly. He writes, they want a cab that feels like a workspace, not a cockpit. They want steps that respect aging knees. They want visibility that doesn't rely on technology to compensate for poor design. They want to feel the machine, not be shielded from it. They want maintenance made easy, not mystifying. They want fewer interruptions, fewer warnings, fewer pop-up notifications. They want to start work, not launch mission control. They want their machine to be their co-worker, not Big Brother. He leans back and smiles sadly. All this time, he whispers, I thought they wanted innovation. Turns out they just wanted consideration. The following day, Graham walks into his office early. For once, he doesn't turn on his computer. He does something he hasn't done in years. He takes a blank sheet of paper and starts sketching. No touch screens, no digital assistants, no endless menus. Just a machine that does what it should, as simply and efficiently as possible. He rethinks the entry points, the seat, the visibility lines. He adds storage, lots of it. He repositions the maintenance panels so they're reachable without gymnastics. And when he's finished, he looks at his design and feels something he hasn't felt in years. Pride. Not in his cleverness, but in his machine's usefulness. By the time the voices fade completely, Graham has learned something Mel Gibson's character learned too, that sometimes the problem isn't a lack of intelligence, but a lack of listening. He's been designing to impress the boardroom, not the building site. He'd been chasing innovation for innovation's sake, mistaking complexity for progress. The operators don't want to fight their machines, they want to work with them. They don't crave technology, they crave simplicity. For the first time, Graham understands that progress doesn't always mean adding more. Sometimes it means taking things away.